Man, that shit was crazy. So this latest chapter, 1079, is probably a lot comparable to 1043, 1044, where we got Gear 5 coming and showing a showcase of Gear 5. But this is just like so long overdue. It felt so long that we finally get to see Shanks in action. That is completely insane. So this chapter is pretty much mainly just pretty much straight up just some dialogue with action and pretty much just it felt super short. Heck, matter of fact, I didn't even go back and look at how many actual pages there was in this chapter, but it felt very short. But maybe it's just because you were just like blown away about what just happened on panel. So to cover at the very beginning, let's first take care of the small stuff. So obviously at the beginning, it's showing us how York set up her plan in motion, telling all the Sephirim, hey, the world government, they're gonna want to kill me too because I'm a Vegapunk. Which I'm glad she's acknowledging that I'm glad she's acknowledging that. Because that was the issue I had with the reveal last week. Is like she wants to be a celestial dragon, but she does realize that they are gonna want to kill her too because she is a Vegapunk as well. And they sent CP0 there to kill all 7. So that is good that she acknowledges that. So she basically just tells them, hey, fate, turn me in stone, and then when everybody's gone, unturn me in stone. And I just don't really see the real point for her like hiding the fact that she's the traitor, because I mean she has a Sephiroth on her side, so if she just tells him to defend her, then she can do that as well. But whatever the case, the only significant thing that happens at Egghead is we do get a glimpse of a Blackbeard ship. Now we don't know if, for instance, if it actually is Blackbeard. A lot of people saying that it might be Kuzan and whoever else he brought with him to capture Pudding. He might be moving on to Egghead. And that would be kind of cool to get a Kuzan and a Kizaru sighting together. Even though we never really saw them like interact outside of Marineford, not to my knowledge. But would be very cool. I highly doubt it's Blackbeard. But some things do kind of allude to it might be Blackbeard, because Shanks asked about Blackbeard in this chapter. So whatever the case, let's get right back and let's get right into the meat of what goes on. So basically, as we left off on Elbaf, Shanks has gone to fight Kid because Kid's just he's scrapping with all the fleet the fleet of Shanks and whatnot. So this is where we find out that the fleet, like how Luffy has a Straw Hat fleet and Shanks has the Red Hair fleet, his fleet is notoriously weak. And it kind of makes sense because Shanks, being who he is, being a loving, caring protector of things, it would make sense that he's, obviously he's protecting smaller people, he's protecting weaker people, much like Luffy. Luffy is he's defended people that just like are too weak to defend themselves. So that's the parallel between Shanks and Luffy, as they take care of people that deserve to be taken care of and that can't defend for themselves and whatnot. So it doesn't shock me that his fleet is weak. Granted, I don't really think the Straw Hat fleet's going to be that strong, even though some people think they are. The Colosseum feats weren't that amazing to me, in my opinion. And that's where most of his fleet came from, the Colosseum. So, getting into that, we have to sit there and think about it. What can Kid do to Shanks? That answer is not a damn thing. So, before I just start ragging in on a Kid, so we do get to see that Kid does start to use his railgun, I believe it's called, and he does blow up like all of like Shanks' fleet's ships and like kills a bunch of people and whatnot. And we turn to find out that this is actually a future sight from Shanks, and he's seeing this happen, and he's like, "Well, damn, that's a lot of fucking damage. Let's not let this happen." So he just immediately jumps forward, and straight up just divine departure, which is what Roger did to Odin when Odin first tried to, clash with Roger and whatnot, and he sent Odin flying away. That's basically what Shanks did, but on a lot cooler level and oversee, cutting not only Kid, but Killer apparently got in front of the blast and got hit and it knocked both of them out, knocked the other people out, because we can see that this has Conquerors hockey inside of it, because it knocks out other people that were like in the area as well. Like the Conquerors knocking out Coding, like you see like the bubbling coming out of their mouth and their eyes going, all white and whatnot. So that was just like, he just did that, And so this is where we get into the portion where we're just going to be breaking down, is the kid slander good or bad or over the top, if it's over the top or not enough, whatnot. My opinion is, yes, kid had a big crucial part in fending off Big Mom. Yes, he did. However, we do have to take in context that when Kid went to Wano by himself, he didn't go by himself. He ended up he was with Hawkins, Apu, and obviously Killer. I think there might have been somebody else. I can't really remember. But they lost. And, X straight. They lost. And what happened? Kid ended up in prison. If Luffy never shows up, Kid's still in prison, or Kid's dead. Because if you remember right, they were drowning Kid. Now I don't know if they would have drowned him, regardless if Luffy never shows up. But yeah, that was like something that happened, So, and I granted, you can flip the other way around. Well, Luffy wouldn't have been able to fight Kaido 1v1 without Kid helping Law fend off Big Mom. And you're right. There's other scenarios that could have happened, but I still, judging like an end scene, like changing the events of something at the end is a lot different from changing something at the very beginning. So I feel like it holds more weight that Kid with Hawkins, X-Drake, and all them getting their ass whooped and him getting thrown in prison by Kaido holds a lot more weight than him, not being there to help change the Big Mom Kaido matchup, because Big Mom has shown that she's not very competent. She can be baited and whatnot. So there could have been other ways to get her separated. Now, granted, would have caused the same effect? Who knows? Maybe we would have seen more Zoro action or more Sanji or Sanji would have got a roof piece, part, which I wouldn't have been appalled for. Like I said, I'm not a big Sanji fan, but I do appreciate him. So moving on into that. So we just got to put into perspective that Kid, when he went up against an emperor before, he got imprisoned. He got beat. The only difference between why he was alive and why he's in this chapter supposedly not alive is Kaido plays with the food and wanted to break his spirit and whatnot. Shanks saw that this guy was going to hurt a lot of his friends. And he read the intel and saw what type of person Kid was. So Kid's not a great person. And they make that clear in the pre-time skip when we first meet him, that his bounty was higher from Luffy's specifically because he was ruthless and he would kill civilians and he would just, basically he was anti-Luffy for the most part. But he just wasn't that good of a character, in my opinion. And a lot of people say, like, well, how can you hype up, or how can Oda waste so much time with this development with Kid and Wano just for him to get beat? So to that, I will say that I don't think, in my opinion, when I was reading it, that they wasted so much time on Kid. The most character moment I felt for Kid was when he was in Udon. He's seen Killer, in his smile fruit persona. I forgot what the name of it is. The guy, when he was all in the bandages and whatnot, he was calling out to him like, Killer, hey buddy, blah blah blah. I felt for that. But outside of that, I didn't really feel a connection to to Kid. It's different for Law. There was so much shit put into Law that you just you care. If something happens to Law, you're gonna care. You're not, and then you're also not gonna think Law's actually gone until we see the body and see Law's gone. So a lot of people are trying to say, obviously Oda does fake outs a lot, especially with Wano, there was a lot of fake outs. But I honestly think the narrator makes it clear that, the Kid Pirates were eliminated, their journey on the One Piece is gone, it's over. and people are going to bring up the fact that, oh, the same thing said the same thing about the Straw Hats inside of OD. There's big differences. One, the Straw Hats are the main characters. They play by a different rule set. It's hard to use their precedent with the side character. And two, the Straw Hats didn't lose the Sunny or the Mary, however, whichever one you want to call it. I think it was the Sunny. Didn't lose the Sunny. Kid lost everything. He lost his poneglyphs. He lost a lot of his crew. He lost his ship. Like, granted, he can get another ship, but he can't go back and get the poneglyphs unless he takes them from Shanks or takes them from takes it from Luffy. You know, goes back to Wano and fucking looks him up again. You know, goes back to Whole Cake or wherever else, you know, he needs to go get these. He's just out of the running for it, you know. And Oda did say this is gonna start being like a battle royale, like, and he hopes some characters don't die. And you know, a lot of people were saying like, oh, that might have been Shanks and Blackbeard, and Shanks might die, or some people say like, oh, Garp might die and stuff like that. All that stuff still might happen, but he could have also been talking about multiple characters that might have died, you know. But saying this guy and that guy would fight, I hope nobody dies. So I still think like Kid could easily have been in that category of people that die. And it makes sense because in the New World, he has been a failure. You know, his one shining grace was with Luffy and Wano. So overall, this chapter was great for the community, great for Shanks fans, you know, sucks for Kid fans. And it just sparked so much, you know, debate, you know, so much conversation. You see people talking about is Kaido stronger than Shanks? Is Shanks stronger than Kaido? We get to see something now. We get to try and compare like how Kid did and this and Kid did that and whatnot. And now you're getting to see the Kid fans come up with copium theories as to why Kid should come back. And I've even seen memes of people doing the whole where Zonisha's talking and saying like Captain Mid has returned, and you just see you know, a Luffy panel, but it's edited with Kid's face, and he's waking up like he's got a Gear 5. Obviously, it's a troll because that was Luffy's awakening. Kid's already awakened. It's not even the same case. But all in all, this chapter was really good, really enjoyable. Sadly, we are on break next week, so that does suck. But I look forward to seeing all the conversations that people bring up about this situation that's going on. It is very hilarious, you know, seeing so many of the reactions of the people, especially when like watching other people's like live reactions. It was just so freaking hilarious, you know, because some people have super hard agendas where they're either pro Shanks, pro Mihawk, pro Kaido, pro Kid, pro Admiral, pro Yonko. You know, it's just so funny to see all that stuff. But overall, very enjoyed the chapter. Hope you guys do too. If you like the video, please comment down. Hit the subscribe button, and yeah, see you next time. Peace.